This happened last summer when I was traveling overseas and my entire family was exited for the trip. I have a tendency to not sleep on most flights and play games. We had to wake up super early to catch our first flight, 5 hours, and had an hour to make it to the next flight after we landed, 12 hours. The first flight went pretty smooth. Got to play games on my phone and 3DS without anyone bothering me. But the second flight was one of the worst flights that I've ever took. It all started pretty smooth. Took out my games again, and I started playing. Behind me sat the ek with her mom and dad next to her. The ek looked semi-mature, about 8 or 9 years old, but boy was I wrong. At first I didn't notice that the ek was kicking my seat because I was so engrossed in the game. But the only reason I noticed the ek is because she began kicking the seat harder. I was quite socially awkward back then, so I didn't want to handle the situation myself. Because of this I asked to swap seats with my sister because I'm quite short-tempered and they knew that something was about to happen. Fortunately, my mom, who was also in the same row as us, helped me calm down after I swapped seats, and my sister was able to be in that seat and not have as trouble as I did because I had to wake up early in the morning and just had a 5-hour flight with no sleep. I resided to get some well-deserved rest and the airplane had dimmed the lights. But then it happened. The ek just started singing out of nowhere. She began to sing her limited playlist of about 3 songs that she knew for almost the entire flight. Maybe it wouldn't have bothered me as much if she was good at singing or loud enough that anyone in 5 rows of the plane could clearly hear her. She was also coughing every couple of seconds. At this point I was visually irritated and my mom noticed that I was, so she politely asked the parents to quiet down their child. They did manage to make her stop, but only for a couple of minutes. Then she was back at it again. They didn't even try to fix the situation, but let her sing to her heart's content. This happened a few times until we eventually called the flight attendant to stop the situation. The flight attendant did manage to stop the ek for a bit longer than the parents did, but it was no use. Unfortunately, there is no happy ending to this story. I only ended getting 1 hour of sleep on that flight, so I was only half awake that entire day. Also, we somehow managed to have our bags get lost on the connection flight, and it took us 4 days to get them back. I even ended falling asleep on a table at a restaurant for a few minuteness before getting woken up by my family. At least I got to take a nice sleep at the Airbnb we were staying at. Background. This story happened a good 8 years ago at my school. This school is a private Christian school. Naturally, there was a lot of rich entitled kids who went to the school. This also leads to entitled parents. The school board also has a deal of corruption issues that they never get around to fix because these issues make them money. Now this was before I enrolled in the school, but I heard about it. I hate the school anyway, and this is a story I used to get dirt onto the school. One of the families who helped fund the school, and by that, they donated millions to the construction, had a kid who got a B on his English paper. Instead of the kid just accepting the B along with his parents, they went to the school board and opted for this teacher to get fired. The worst part is that he did get fired for giving a rich kid a fucking B. Now, the parents of this story aren't as crazy as others on this subreddit. It is one thing for an entitled parent to rant about stuff and get smacked by reality. This is a whole different level where they don't receive reality because they can buy their way out of it. I don't know what happened to this said teacher, but likely this just threw away his entire teaching career that he earned with his money and time to be wasted by a rich kid with a B. Rich family, the school isn't yours, and I hope this school burns to the ground. So this is not my own story. It happened to my little brother's friend, but I thought that it belonged in this sub. M. Entitled Mom. Ed. Entitled Dad. Eb. Entitled Brat. V. Victim. VP. Victim's parents. So a couple of years ago, when my little brother was around 7 to 8, he played for a soccer team with a bunch of people from his school. This school is a K-8 school in the suburbs of SF that costs $35k a year, so there are a lot of entitled rich parents and kids from the school. One of the kids, Eb, was a very wealthy spoiled brat who got whatever he wanted. His parents own a popular cracker company that's name is similar to Slow June. I remember when I went to the school that if the kid lost a game, got called anything even remotely mean, or was told no, he would start crying and screaming, and people started to always say yes to him because of it. Well, going back to the story, during one of the soccer games my brother's team was playing against a team, and on this team was my brother's friend V. V did not go to the same school as my brother. I forget how they knew each other. During the game V's team was crushing my brother's team, and V had scored the most goals on his team. Eb was very upset because of this, crying and screaming as usual, and during halftime my mom sees Em going over to Eb and whispering something in his ear. 5 minutes into the next quarter, Eb is playing defense on V and the ball is on the opposite side of the field from them. Eb suddenly falls on the ground and starts crying, and the ref stops the game. Em and Ed run over to him, and the ref asks him what happened. "He punched me." Eb screamed, and Em and Ed start to converge on him. "You what?" Em cried, "Why did you hit my kid?" Ed yells in this 7-year-old's face. V starts crying and does not know what is going on, and VP runs over. Em yells at the ref to kick V out of the game for hitting her son, and in the meantime V is just sobbing, not knowing what to do. The ref asks V if he hit Ed, and V says he didn't, and that Ed just fell on the ground. Of course Em and Ed scream that he's lying, and that he should get kicked out, but the ref ignores them. The ref then asks Eb if V punched him, and Eb replies matter-of-factly, "No, my parents told me to say he did, so that he would get kicked out of the game." Em and Ed go white in the face and start sputtering and trying to say excuses, but then just pack up their stuff quickly and drive away. The game went on after that with no issues, except for the fact that my brother's team got crushed. This happened about 4 years ago. The Ep is my older sister. Ever since her daughter was born, she's always treated everyone in the family like mandatory free babysitters, and while it's always been annoying in the past, this incident took the freaking cake. So when this happened, I wanted to save up money to move to Europe. Ep and my brother were living in the same house at the time, and we all thought it would be a good idea for me to stay with family and help with rent, all the while I could save up money to move abroad. At this time I had just started dating my now fiance, but back then we weren't serious. All the more reason I'm grateful I didn't go. Anyway, sometime during our conversations I had mentioned that I wouldn't mind watching my niece from time to time while living there. I started looking for a job in the area I would be moving to, and casually mentioned to my sister that I was filling out open availability on the applications. This was when her real intentions came out. She got into a huge argument with me about how I couldn't work nights or weekends because she needed me to babysit her kid. My experience is in customer service and retail, so basically, that's not an option for me. I asked her if she intended on paying me to babysit, and this how the conversation went. Ep, no, because you still need to help me with bills. Dumbfounded silence as I process what I just heard. Me, wait. So you want me to pay to move out there, find a customer service job that will hire me with only daytime availability, so I can watch your kid for free, and fork over what little money I make to help with your bills? Yeah, so. Me, are you out of your fucking mind? She's your niece, you bitch. Me, she's your daughter. Why don't you try spending more time her with instead of pawning her off to other people every night, so you can go fuck dudes? The rest of the conversation is a fuzzy, but needless to say, I'm glad I stayed where I am, where I'm now engaged, and not living with a crazy Eb who seems to think God put me on this earth to serve her babysitting needs. So a bit of context, me and my family every 4 years or so we plan a vacation to go to Myrtle Beach and stay there for 3 days, and it was amazing. Until 2 years ago on our last day, an annoying Em decides why not thrash this kid's day and almost kill him and blame it on him. So I was at the indoor pool section of a hotel we stayed at and was having fun with a new friend I made there as well, until we stumble upon a wild Em and her son, around 10, and here's our cast. Sem, crazy entitled mom. S, entitled shit/son. NF, new friend. Me, Mario Eagle, amazing right. M, hey kids, why don't you let my angel play? Me and NF agree to do just that, and after 10 minutes of playing with a pool ball S leaves and talks to her mom. Next thing you know an entitled bull is headed our way. M, why are you mistreating my angel? TBH we treated S pretty fairly, NF and me. We in fact treated your son fairly. I don't care what you guys did, you'll hand over the ball to my angel. NF and me, in sync no. Well, I'm saying the employees that you're not playing fair and going to press charges. Me, in my mind. Dafuck. Left and we continued having fun until a half hour later. By this time NF left to eat. Where's your buddy? Me, he left. Walks into pool, come here you brat. Darts and swims for me, and I swim away until the end of the pool and was hanging on to the edge of the pool. By this point, if I let go there's no turning back. Grabs my arm then lets go and pulls on my legs. My arms are just hanging on for dear life until I had no strength. Although it was about 3 minutes it felt like 15 and submerged underwater, and M's hands were pushing against my head and I felt lightheaded but not unconscious, and by the love of the Lord sent a hero to rescue me in the form of a young adult, around 20 I guess, jumped in the pool and shoved them away and pulled me up, and I was coughing a lot of water out. The M ran away. The young adult checked if I was okay, and I was, and decided not to go to the pool the rest of the day, but NF convinced and ensured me that I'll be quite alright, and I did have fun. I decided not to tell my parents because they would freak out. NF handed me his number and kept in touch, but whenever he mentions that event I just have a slight chuckle and that's it. Now, I don't know what happened to M, but if she stumbles upon me, I would bring support and teach her a lesson. Did you enjoy this video? Leave a like and subscribe to Brody for more.